The following program is rated TVMA-LV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
I am standing here at Repubblica Square in Milan. Milan is Italy's second largest city and the fashion center of the country. Milan, which means middle land in Celt, is flat without any hills or mountains. We are about to commence a 10-day journey, starting here in Milan and ending in Rome. As I looked at the itinerary, I could not help but think it looks like the route Hannibal took over 2,000 years ago when he crossed the Alps with war elephants. Wouldn't it be nice, instead of just having modern guides, if we could have a guide that would talk about ancient Italy? Oh well, one can't always have what one wants.
Wishes are sometimes granted, Leslie. I am the spirit of Emilce, the wife of Carthage's greatest general, Hannibal Barca. I will be your historic guide as you travel through modern Italy. I will appear as necessary. I want you to know that everything in the history books about Hannibal are lies. The only truth is that Roman fear of him became so great that even today Italian parents threaten their misbehaving children that Hannibal is coming for them. My husband stopped here in Milan after crossing the Alps to gather more troops from the Celts that were living here.
E come si suona un mandolino, a chitarretta, un violino.
Bona Domenica, which is what you say on Sundays instead of Buongiorno. We start our 10-day tour of Italy here at the Piazza Duomo at the heart of Milan. This is the medieval city square, and that is the well where water was drawn from. This is the oldest window in the city, a 13th century window. Survived the extensive bombing during the Second World War. This is the domestic shopping street of Milan, where the locals go, looking down towards the castle. And this is the castle where all the nobility in Milan lived. And that is the tallest building in Milan, the Pirelli building, which an airplane flew into after 9/11. In the distance, we can see one of the 8 gates of Milan, built by the Greeks. This is the end of the town at that time, and this is where people would enter into the town. This is the Grand Hotel Milano, and this is where Giuseppe Verdi, who wrote La Traviata, I can't even say these names, and other great operas, died. And this is La Scala Opera House. And this is the interior of the La Scala Theater, covertly taped since it's illegal to take pictures inside. And this is the foyer of the Opera House, La Scala, where pictures are legal. Now we are in La Scala Square, opposite the Opera House. And of course, it is always important to get postcards, 3 for €1. La Galleria in Italian means tunnel. And this is the tunnel from La Scala to the Duomo. And we're going to be walking through. These are private policemen just for the Galleria. And of course, you must look down on the floors as well as the ceilings in this wonderful Galleria. So turning on the bowl is good luck, and all the locals do it. Spaghetti was not created in Italy, it came from China, but gelato, which was originally a mixture of snow from Mount Etna, and egg whites did come, and this is the #1 gelato place in Italy, here in the Galleria. The unique Italian flavors are this dark chocolate and the wild cherry, which are located right here. This is the cafe where the drink Campari was developed. Our tradition says we always have our first meal in a city at a Chinese restaurant, and there it sits. Tonight we are staying at this unpretentious location known as the Villa d'Este. They say that it's a nice hotel, so we'll go through these gates, past that guard, and see whether that's real or not. Well, there's our hotel in the distance. That's where we got to walk to from the gates. We'll see if it's anything special when we get closer. And we are approaching one of the first buildings of the hotel. Here's the outdoor restaurant where a cup of coffee costs 20 bucks and a beer is 50. Pretty statues. Incredible gardens. This looks like it begs to be climbed, and we shall. 1,000 steps to the statue of Hercules. And everyone at this hotel is extremely fashionably dressed in designer clothing. Beautiful scenes to stop and look at everywhere. And gorgeous fountains. In fact, this is the type of place where I might expect Emil C. to make an appearance.
I have in my hands the spirit of Cyrus. Riding Cyrus, Hannibal defeated the entire Roman army. But you know men, unlike women who are always right, men make mistakes. And my husband made his biggest one right here. Against my strongest advice to head south for Rome, he headed east to Bologna. This error in judgment led to the genocide of the Carthaginian people 70 years later. Let the truth be known!
And at the very top, you reach Hercules and the lion. And looking at the breakfast room and the hotel and Lake Como in the distance, that brings an end to our little tour of the Villa d'Este. And it is sunset here on Lake Como, looking at two styles of ferries that ply the lake. And we are having welcome drinks. So we are taking off on this brilliant Saturday from the Villa d'Este for a ride on Lake Como. And our guide Vincenzo actually pointed it out to him that it was for sale, and he bought it. This is Richard Branson's property on Lake Como, 20 million euros. It's a lovely little house. A typical villa on the lake.
Typical.
Now we arrive at the town of Bellagio.
60?
Steve Wynn came to Bellagio and named the casino after this. In all these towns, of course, you have to climb stairs to get up from the coast, and there are stores on every side. And there are lots of interesting little alleys to go down, but you can tell you're at a tourist trap when all the signs are in English instead of Italian. And here's a listing of the pizzas. The most basic is a margherita, and then you can get fancier from there.
Shoo shoo shoo, quanto femmini cacci su. Shoo shoo shoo, quanto femmini cacci su. Si la do bene come un cagnato con sotto un grado di non c'è.
As we look at some of the medieval gates of Bologna, a few facts about the city. About a third of the population of Bologna are students, so there's lots of young people. This city is very famous for all the porticos in the area. In the 1600s, a rule was made that every single building had to have an arcade in the center of the city, and they had to be at least as tall as a man on horseback. We now come to the exact center of town, the Piazza Maggiore, or the town square. The statue is of Gregory XIV, who developed the current calendar, as well as Gregorian chants.
On your right,
So you can see the water flowing out of the breasts of the woman on the fountain, showing opulence and a lot of wealth. And the public drinking fountain, which I think could be good luck, with a saint at the church across the street looking down at our room to bless us. I am off to take a closer look at these medieval towers, all built in the 12 and 1300s. Here is a typical tower. All of the great families of Bologna in the 12 and 1300s built one of these for protection when they were under attack by friendly neighbors. Everyone, and I mean everyone, was adopted by one of these great families, and in time of trouble, all of the family and their adoptees would climb into these towers. Another view of the towers. Monday is just starting to dawn here in Bologna, with incredible views from the balcony to our room towards the main square.
Shoo shoo, quanto femmini cacci su. Shoo shoo shoo, quanto femmini cacci su. Si la do bene come un cagnato con sotto un grado di chissà non c'è. Si la do bene come un cagnato con sotto un grado di chissà non c'è. Si la do bene come un cagnato con sotto un grado di chissà non c'è. Si la do bene come un cagnato con sotto un grado di chissà non c'è. Shoo shoo shoo, quanto femmini cacci su. Shoo shoo, quanto femmini cacci su. Shoo shoo shoo, quanto femmini cacci su. Si la do bene come un cagnato con sotto un grado di chissà non c'è. Si la do bene come un cagnato con sotto un grado di chissà non c'è. Si la do bene come un cagnato con sotto un grado di chissà non c'è. Si la do bene come un cagnato con sotto un grado di chissà non c'è. Shoo shoo shoo, quanto femmini cacci su. Shoo shoo shoo, quanto femmini cacci su. Quanto femmini cacci su. Shoo shoo shoo, quanto femmini.
Well, here we are at Pompeii. This is the model of Pompeii in scale of 1 to 100. This is where the gladiator training was, and the theater. This is the Forum and the Temple of Zeus. And there's the Temple of Apollo. And this is the approximate area of the Bordello. These are the city walls of Pompeii that surrounded the city. This city was not buried in lava, but buried in 30 feet of ashes. So this was a training area for the gladiators. And this is where the gladiators would live, next to their training area.
Okay.
And this is the theater where plays and comedies were performed. This dates from the time when Hannibal came into Pompeii following his victory at Cannae. This is where the musicians sat to play, and this is the stage area. This theater is very warm inside. And every street in Pompeii was decorated in these colorful stuccos, so they're not bricks. They were very colored yellow, red. And this is some of the original graffiti scratched into the walls, the stucco. So here is a typical street. In Pompeii, they needed these stones to cross the street because the drainage system, the sewage, came down the center. And one can even see the wheel tracks from the carts going between these stones. The way you know this is a shop is the groove where they slid the wooden doors back and forth. This is a street of shops and bars. This is a bar because you can still see the counters. And there are roads going off to the sides everywhere. This is one of the original fountains. Each fountain had a different decoration so people could meet at the fountains. This is the East Main Street. Very commercial on the main street. And you can see the town, even today, is quite crowded. So let's pretend you're a sailor looking for the red light district. How do you know where it's at? They would have in the pavement little guide marks that show you how to get there. So that sign says, head down the street. This is the main brothel of Pompeii. Now we come to a section that you are going to have to be 18 years or older to watch this video. Women were not allowed in this area up till 30 years ago. Each of the women in the bordello would have a painting to display what they were capable of. The erotic paintings found at the bordello. So this is the menu that was on the wall in the brothels. If you didn't speak Roman, you could just point. Or this. Or here's a ceramic.
I hope you enjoyed my picture. My husband placed it here in this very brothel to celebrate the major victory in Cannae in 216 BC. Again he wins, and no advance on Rome. Stupid, stupid man.
In marble as far as now.
Here's a marble fountain.
This deserves really a picture, you see, with that.
So an entranceway with the mosaic to the atrium, to the living area, and then finally where the columns are was the house garden at the back. Lots of bronzes, over 300 in this house. These piercing eyes were made with ivory and glass. And this is a painting of great historical importance because you can see Mount Vesuvius as it was before the eruption. It came to a point like this. They're just beautiful paintings and mosaics everywhere. And this is a self-portrait, or a portrait of a wealthy Roman matron. This is a very famous fresco of Flora. But there are plenty of other more standard mosaics. This is a much more famous mosaic of death. And the very famous dog mosaic. Beware of dog. And you can see some of the decorations along the sidewalk as well. and houses were located right next to the shops. So as one hits the main square, there is the end of the traffic and a pedestrian area only. So this is the Forum of Pompeii, all in marble. And this forum was on 2 levels, as the columns show. And from the forum, you have an unobstructed view of Mount Vesuvius, which would have come to a point. All of that was blown away in 79 AD. This is some of the original sculpture coming in to this arch here. This is the temple dedicated to Vespasian. These people were not very tall. That belt around his waist means he was a slave. And a just gorgeous marble table. On the main forum, this is a temple dedicated to Zeus. And this is the temple of Apollo, the sun god. And this is the front of the temple of Apollo. This is a copy of the statue of Apollo that was found here. This is a sundial that was given as a gift from someone seeking favors from Apollo. These little white flecks in the street are reflections for torches. People could actually find their way when the light reflected off these. After a 1-mile circular walk, we leave the city. This is Maria. Maria, now what is the difference between women in northern Italy and southern Italy?
Let's say that women in northern Italy, they really take care of their bodies. So, for example, they follow a good diet, lots of vegetables, extra virgin olive oil. They practice a sport. They do massage. So it's very hard for you to find fat women in northern Italy. They are all so thin, and that's different from southern Italy. Above all, if you go around Naples area, you probably realize that most of the women, they're a bit fat, but what is funny is that they are so happy because they can have all they want: pasta, pizza, cakes. They don't care that much.
After a drive through the mountains, we have arrived in the town of Ravello, and at this hotel, the Caruso, the lobby of the hotel, complete with lemon tree.
And fitness.
This is the herb garden where all the herbs used at dinner are grown. There's the spa in this 48-room hotel. The first fresco painted at the hotel.
And that is the village of Maiori.
In the distance. One of their other places to have drinks before dinner.
They open this terrace
This
tonight, and then it'll be
is
here, but she's not sure yet if they're
the
going to open it or
outside
not.
restaurant. Now we are walking to the swimming pool, past this fountain. This is a heated pool that kind of drops right over the valley edge. Our room is huge. Beautiful mosaic floors. Our own private terrace. And this is the view from the top of our terrace. And we are looking back across our private terrace to our room. The bathroom with a jar of bath salts and the standard bidet toilet combination. An amenity bowl that makes your mouth drool. Double sinks are always nice. And a tub and a shower, or a tub and a sauna. So we begin this cloudy and rainy morning here in Amalfi, a town of about 6,000 people, with lemon groves growing on all the hillsides in terraces. In fact, in every town on the coast, one measures one's distance to one's house by steps. This is the main shopping road of Amalfi. Of course, it's also used by cars. Once upon a time in medieval period, this was a river. Looking for goodies, gifts for a party. So we leave Amalfi, sailing to Positano. It's very pretty in the sunshine. Just incredible houses on this coastline. And we are approaching Positano. Hannibal never made it to Positano according to our guide. Well, actually he did. He got in 207 BC to the top of that hill, took one look down, said, no, there's nothing here except lemon trees, and turned around and went back to Naples, his winter home. 3,641 churches down, 49 to go at the Cathedral of Positano.
The wind stops, so they could not, say
I died several years later of a battle wound. My husband poisons himself in 183 BC instead of surrendering to Rome. Smart man. Wishes sometimes come true, Leslie. Wishes. Wishes. Wishes.